Thank you, Agustin, for the presentation. I will try to be as quick as possible because we are reaching 7 o'clock, and I think I know in Spain you can eat late, but me too. But we have to take care of our American friends because okay. As usual, the vendors say always the same thing. It's going to be fantastic to go cloud, etc. So what I'm going to do very quickly in my presentation is where we come from is important. Our job, I will very quickly, our job is independent consulting, and that means that our fees are only paid by our customers, and our main job is being the customer advocate. So I'm not here to say, like my colleagues, Greg, or I'm not here to say whether cloud is good or not good, should we do it on premises or not. I am going to take the perspective of the customer and look at this new offering from the view of the customer. Now, I haven't never seen a customer, unfortunately, being able to change a trend in the market. So today, the cloud is a trend in the market. Some people will say it's new. For me, it's not new because we used to call it TSO 30 years ago. So it is the same thing, okay? It is the same thing, but we give it a new word. And if there is something I hate, it's marketing, because whenever you are facing with a marketing blah blah from a vendor, it's always be careful, because believe me, there is something hidden in the price. So basically, my question is not whether cloud services are good or not good, should we go there or not go there. The cloud services are here. They are here because it is the interest of the vendors, okay? It is the interest of the vendors because all the telecom operators are their prices going down, so they have to bring revenues from somewhere else. So they have to increase revenues by claiming they can offer something else. And it is also to the benefit of the corporate users, because the IT manager is facing his users, okay? Because he's facing his users who want something flexible, who want something quickly. And here they read in the press that they can have a call center for 2 seconds by per position. They can have, and when they come to him, he tells them, well, I need to make an RFP, I need to hire a consultant, etc., etc., etc. So we have a dilemma here. Yes, cloud services are here. They are to the interest of the vendors. So because it is the interest of the vendors, we have to take care of them. We have to consider them as an option. Now, the question is, what do I do as a user? What I am going to compare? What I am going to put in the cloud? Am I going to put infrastructure? Typically, what our friend from Interactive Intelligence were mentioning was purely, mainly infrastructure type service, but there are other services that are applications. How I am going to integrate them with on-premises, because as we will see, there is no way today we can say, I am going to go on the cloud. Even if for a corporation, everything can go on the cloud, whether public or private, I mean, it's not relevant. Even if it goes somewhere on the cloud, we have always the thing that will go back, because there is nothing new in this world. We are talking cloud. I mean, we have outsourcing contracts. When you see outsourcing contract, people are outsourcing, and 5, 7, 10 years later, they are making insourcing because they have achieved some objectives. So even if we own cloud, maybe you will be, I will not be in this business in 10 years' time, at least I hope. In 10 years' time, you will come here and you will talk how we are going to in-cloud the stuff. Okay, so because at the end, and I am going to raise a question to our colleague from the vendor side, if you continue on your business of cloud, you are going to kill the IT manager. Once you have killed the IT manager job, you will not have nobody to sell him the other new stuff that will come after the cloud. So, by definition in the business, there is going to be a balance between the service solution. So, now, I need, as a corporate director, I need to integrate with my on-premises services. I need also to keep control. Because yes, in the US you may sign a master service agreement, but here in Europe, and especially in the real Europe, if you understand, correct what I mean, in the real Europe, I mean in the continent, okay, we sign a contract, but luckily we never go and look and find if the vendor is respecting it, because we got a personal relationship with him. And may I ask people from the audience, if they are from the user side, do they control on a regular basis if the operators are respecting their commitment? If you control, you certainly make a lot of savings. Now, so really, problem is vendor commitment. Legally, it's becoming a very important issue here, okay, because where do I put my data? Okay, where do I put my data? And you know that, you know very well about NSA spying. I can tell you that there are a lot of projects that recently we had to disregard service offering from American companies because it's purely American-based. And because some of the cloud services they were offering are hosted in the States or not necessarily in Europe. So it is extremely, now, having said so, you may sign today a contract with an operator who is saying that everything is hosted in Europe, but tomorrow he is maybe bought by an American company and they will shift all the data center to the US. So it's really not that easy to say, I have to come. So you see how far we can go into the contract negotiations. So you see the job of buying a cloud service is not only, okay. And also it is extremely important to know how to control the cloud service usage. Why? Because the beauty of the cloud is that everybody can use it and it's pay per use. Okay. What happens when someone leaves? Because we are talking again about something new, but this is not new. If some people here, we are in a bank, certainly we have a trading floor in this building, hopefully, okay, and in the trading floor they use Reuters, okay. Reuters is typically a service that is cloud-based since 20 years, at least 25 years. A trader is paying depending on the pages that he is using, but when he is fired, the company continues to pay, believe me, okay? And because nobody is controlling, nobody can track. So it's not a question of saying, I am going to pay per use. I need to control that usage and make sure, because you are going to have the vendor in direct contact with the end user, okay? This is the whole objective of the cloud service, is to become in direct contact with the end user. And when it becomes end user, is it going to be still cheaper? I'm not very sure. You have only to look at your mobile cost today. The big difference today and if we look at the telecom cost and then we go to the cloud, what we have today as a model, as a business model of a pay-per-use model, it is the mobile. The mobile is typically a case where the cost is depending on the usage. This is what has tremendously changed in the telecom cost of a company, is that now we depend, the end user, actually everything, even the fixed network, because 80% of the traffic of an MPLS network, guess what? It's mails. Not the business anymore, it's mail. Okay. Not the ERP system, not the CRM, nothing. It's mainly mails. 80% of the traffic of an MPLS network, it's mail. Add to that the mobile. So today, the cost of a telecom, the telecom costs are pay per use. Okay, being per use, we don't have control on them. So it is here we are transporting this telecom charge to the business model of IT services again. So there is a need to have a tool to control this usage in order to control its usage and also to be able to discontinue the service when it is stopped using. Now, does it mean I should not, by definition, and you can go to the Congress today very simply, we cannot afford not to have cloud because cloud is needed when you want to deploy mobile applications, and nobody can afford not to have mobile applications. So this is what I was saying. Unfortunately, this happens to me. I don't follow my slides. So basically, it's not the question whether I go to cloud. I will go to cloud, but I need to. But on the other hand, what is my job as an IT director? My job is I am responsible for the key asset. I am responsible for the systems. I am responsible for the data of my company, and I have to look after the cost. So, if I still want to be competitive against my competitors, because the IT department is not here only to deploy IT for the company, it's also to support a business that needs to remain competitive against other company. So how do I retain in-house expertise? So imagine if everything is on the cloud and Banque Sabadell is doing like Crédit Agricole in France. I mean, what is going to be the differentiating factor? I mean, if we imagine that tomorrow, so it is going to be extremely important for the company to define what is specific in its business to distinguish itself from what it should put outsource. Again, where do I put my company data and how do I control? Okay. How do I control? For instance, let me give you a very simple. Do you know if you use Amazon or if you use Google public cloud, all the data you put became their owner. They became the owner of that data. It's in the contract you sign with them. You know, in these split little sentences. So it is how my data, how my company data are going to be used by these cloud service providers. I have to protect myself. So our lawyers who were here, they left, will have a lot of business to do. Okay. Now, how I am going to control this cost, but my problem as an IT department, I'm not sure that always the management of the bank or of the corporations are aware of these risks. So the question is that I have to go to these risks. I have to take this risk. What I am going to expect from these risks? My first objective is going to be flexibility. But what I mean flexibility here, my friend Ian, flexibility here, it means changing services. So if I am not happy with your service, I should be able to go to another service. This is what I mean flexibility, because this is what is interesting to have a call center in the cloud, is because if I am not happy with interactive intelligence services, I can go to the Cisco as a service provided by Orange. You see, so how do I change? If I use a Salesforce, to which vendor I go if I want to change service? And how do I maintain my service? So you see, I want to change applications. I may need to change applications, not necessarily changing my connection to the cloud, but I also may need to change vendors. So we have to think the expertise of who is going to supply me the solution. The guy who is going to supply me CRM solution needs to be knowledgeable, maybe in Salesforce, maybe in SAP, maybe in, you see, do you know many vendors who are experienced in all these 3 different systems? So because at the end, I have to think what is a specific to keep for me, because if I am going to leave all my customer care in the hand of a call center or in the hand something, what is going to differentiate me from our competition? So I have to keep some knowledge, and so it is an extremely difficult task and a lot of job. There is a big job for the consultant to help these organizations to structure their systems in order to identify what is specific from what is can be on the cloud, and when it is defined to be on the cloud, being able to have the support of the expertise for the people who wants to move from SAP to maybe, I don't discontinue the fact that maybe part of the company will be using Siebel as a CRM, another part of the company be using Salesforce. Okay. But both will be connected to my specific in-house application. So this is what I mean by flexibility. Are we ready there? Who can do that? Okay. Okay. We will see who can do that later on. Second point, I need to have reduced TCO. Now my question here, does anyone know precisely what is the TCO of his IT department of a function? Very rarely this is no, so we can always exercise to. So I also be looking for a customizable service offering. This is linking to switching application. So also, I will need to have, this is another idea that I can reap benefit from using cloud services, is the idea of having different functions controlling themselves within IT. So if I take infrastructure side, instead of having a network and all my security provided by a single vendor, I should have a vendor providing me security services and another providing me telecommunication services, so they control each other. This is provide benefit, because when there is a problem in the security of my network, the guy of the security will tell me, and when the guy, you see, this is the interesting part of the cloud, is because I can slice my business in different functions in order to keep control. Because the whole objective, I need to keep control because I need to get things back. If you sign everything in one vendor, there is no difference for me between clouding and outsourcing. But this is not the subject today. We are not talking about outsourcing. And the problem today is that most of the speech of the conferences, or what we say cloud, well, give me everything. Well, if you give me everything, I can put everything on my cloud. Well, you are not asking me to sign a cloud contract. You are asking me to outsource. You see the difference? This is not what we are talking here. We are talking about cloud. And for me, when I'm going to use cloud as a mean of using a service, I have to define the different services and procure them from different vendors. So here we have a problem of price, because today, when I want to negotiate a big contract of infrastructure and I want to reduce and negotiate a good price, because at the end price is always key in any decision making, the interest of the client is to put the maximum turnover, the maximum amount of money on the table for the discussion. So there is today a tendency to give, if we talk only about communication infrastructure, I will procure from the same vendor the network, the voice systems, the voice service, not the system, the voice service, the call center service, the security services, if they sign everything with them, but there I'm not doing a cloud service. Our friend from Orange, our friend from IBM will tell me, I am signing a cloud service. No, sorry. I'm not signing a cloud service. I am signing an outsourcing contract. Signing an outsourcing means I am buying contact center from intelligence services or from a interactive intelligent partner. I am using network from Orange. I am using server CPU capacity from IBM, etc., and being able to switch from these guys. This boils down to one sentence. In French, we say it: j'achète mon pain chez le boulanger. Okay. So, most important part, I buy my bread from the bakery. And this is why my friend Agustin said a cloud, because the problem is that this came from our friend from America, and in America, they don't buy the bread from the bakery. Okay, so don't mix outsourcing with outclouding. It's not a technical issue, it's a service issue. Okay, and what is extreme, we have to stop.
No, George, I believe that you were angry.
It's clear.
But it's clear that not. You have enough energy. And you can be talking during hours without eat anything.
Okay.
No, please finish.
Finish? Okay. So basically, how do we move to a cloud approach? So we need to identify what I call your cloud services broker. Okay. So someone who is being able to switch you from these different vendors. Okay. Which is different from someone who is in his cloud integrating different people. Okay. So basically today, when I am going to look for a broker, I am going to have different type of cloud services. I am going to have infrastructure as a service. There I'm maybe going to have a broker for infrastructure as a service. That broker is someone who has some sort of agreement with these different vendors, who is supposedly agnostic, independent. So you see, financially it's not easy, because how this broker is going to make his business? Is he going to take his business as a percentage of your contract? Or so if he, so it's there is today a challenge, in my viewpoint, when analyzing for this presentation. The easiest way today is to go with a cloud service integrator, because he has everything. But for me, this is another form of outsourcing. In order for an end user or a corporation to keep control on the cloud and to use it when it is needed and when really it has a benefit to do it, because I can understand that tomorrow you need to put a sales team for a specific function. You go and use Salesforce immediately. It's damn easy. It's quickly. But once the sales team get to know it, the requirement will come. Then you need to move them and integrate them with an ERP system. Okay. So we need to distinguish.
George, 2 minutes.
Who are the broker? Okay. So, first, it means we need to prepare when we move to cloud. We need to classify the different applications. We need to classify those that we can put on the cloud without risks, those that we can prepare, those that what is what I call nice to have, because it's an application that I cannot develop in 2-3 years' time. in terms of infrastructure, I need to understand my requirement in terms of network, in terms of storage, in terms of computing, where I need them. So basically, it is necessity to select a specialized supplier or someone who has a brokerage for different supplier. Is it clear? I hope you got my point. Otherwise,
thank you very much, George. You also has a different approach, and the most smart vision. So let's move to our last panel member. He's Julien Navet. He's coming from Paris. He's Cloud Computing Chief of Staff of Orange Business Service Paris, from Paris. And I would like to ask Julien, what do you think, or how you will define your company? Is an infrastructure as a service provider? Is a software as a service provider? Who are you?
I think George almost described us. No, just kidding. Maybe, I don't know, I'll get a bunch of slides. I don't know how it works.
Yeah.
Yeah, how it works, yeah. Just for, not to present Orange Business Service, because I guess we're running late, but just to say a little bit of history. As Orange Business Services, as you may know, we are selling multiple telecom services to enterprise. And when we started our cloud services, we started it with one particular enterprise, which is Orange. We first developed our service for our internal needs. We knew that as a telecom provider, the usage of data, the usage of storage were becoming more and more intensive, and we needed some solutions. So we first start our cloud services, our computing services. We develop it for Orange needs first, and then we develop it again with all our customer requirements. And this is now what we are selling, is that we are selling our services to our customer, and not to prove this is good or not, but we are using it. As we say in France, we drink our own champagne.
Take care here to take it. We are in the Cava region.
Not sure about the okay. Anyway, so just maybe a quick recap of where we think we stand in the IT world. Of course, with the cloud services, all the IT and telecom world are changing, evolving a lot. The boundaries are becoming thinner and thinner. You have many type of clouds, but here what we see, we have three different type of approach in the cloud. You have the OTT, the internet company, many SaaS cloud approach. I'm sure a lot of are using Salesforce, a lot of you guys, Google, all the pure internet players, the pure SaaS players. You have the traditional, which I would say IT services and vendors, the IBM, the Atos, the Capgemini, sorry. And we are telecom, we are telco, and we are moving to the cloud with our customer. And what we think is the difference we can offer to our customer is our DNA. And our DNA is an operator model. It's based on our network. And we can offer to our customer an end-to-end network SLA. From the network to the application level. So this is one of the strengths we want as Orange to push in the cloud to our customer. I think when we were discussing about what our customers are negotiating, what the questions they ask when they start a cloud service or when they want to start a contract in the cloud, we think as Orange that the SLA from the network to the application is one of the things that the customer are looking closely at. As we say, we have multiple kind of cloud. What we can offer on-premise or off-site is not really the question for now on, because you can probably technically have many flavors in the cloud: the private, the public cloud, the multi-tenant cloud, the hybrid cloud. You can also have some public cloud partners, and you have to mix it with an IT specialist or a telecom operator. You can have some storage as a service needs, workspace needs, and of course, I'm not talking about the big data, which will become the subject of the next years. What we think is that there is not one type of cloud. It's one type of cloud based on the customer needs, depend of the need, depend of the customer industry, particular industry. And I will maybe just quote one or two customers. We have examples. For example, if you're discussing cloud with a bank, you will discuss many types of solutions. You will discuss for personal data, probably private cloud, huge private cloud, on-premise, depending on the regulation, or off-premise, depends. You can also discuss with them public cloud, multi-tenant cloud for customer application, for example, and non-secure data. And what we need to provide is a solution for both. And we need to provide, as a telco operator, hybrid cloud for both solutions to work properly for the customer. Check on this one, up. And as I said before, we are doing both. We are doing both for our internal needs. Today, as Orange, we are one of the biggest IT needs enterprise in France, and we are using our own cloud, and we are providing services to all other Orange countries as well. So we develop these services based on these needs as well. I'm not going to the portfolio. Maybe this one up, as I said. We have different flavor in terms of cloud. What is important to say, and maybe to add, because I know that most of the point and the question you need to ask yourself when you want to move to a cloud solution has been raised by my colleague here. I maybe just add one thing on what we insist a lot when we discuss cloud solution and cloud services with a customer is the reversibility. So reversibility of the data is something we currently include in all our contracts. We discuss it with all our customers from a very transparent point of view. So reversibility, how we will do it, how we should do it, and what we will be put in place if you want to move to another solution. And I think this is one of the key strengths today is just to prove to our customers that we are able to migrate their solutions, their application into the cloud, but also to reverse it if needed. Of course, we don't want that, but I think it's one of the points important to be taken into account. And the other thing is that data location. I don't completely agree with George when he was saying you don't know where the data will be tomorrow. I think when you're discussing with a contract with a customer, it has to be important that in the contract you stipulate where the data will be. It's not because it is in the cloud, so there is no data center behind, there is no location behind, and we have some specific customers, they don't want to have some data in US, for example. We are not putting their data in US. No, they have a lot of regulation issue with the Patriot Act and stuff like this. We can move the data to a particular data center and not to any other one. So, yeah, it's just a map of the capability we have, but this does not mean that all the data have to be in one of these data centers. We can provide to the customer the exact location of the data. So this is basically where we are today when we are discussing cloud as Orange Business Services. You have so many different flavors as infrastructure level. The question for us is not on-premise or off-premise, because we can provide every kind of flavor of cloud. It's mainly to understand what the customer needs. As I said, you can need both type of technological solution. You can need the private, you can need the public, you can need the hybrid, and we can provide this. The question is, what do you want to do with your application? And as telco, we really have to think now, what what the IT, what the application means for the customer, where do they want to bring their customer with the application, and then to offer the best solution for that. I don't really have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Julian. So it's clear that we need something I don't know, no? Because most of our some consultants work in one thing named telecom expenses management. One of my conclusions of this panel is that perhaps we need something named cloud expenses management. Could be. So because it's clear that this is you can contract quite different things under the same name. That's it. And it seems that the providers really have at least the intention to customize their services. Not to provide because one of the questions is, are you providing really customized services, or are you providing a closed product in a box, a commodity? So let's open the debate to the floor. There is a first question. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mario Puig, and I'm CEO of Replicalia. We do backup services, and we do them on-premise and on cloud. Thank you very much, Agustin, for organizing this event. Amazing presentations, all of you. I want to ask specifically to Ian. Maybe all of them are invited to answer to, but maybe even has a closer perspective. You originally developed your product to be on-premise, right? So on this journey to the cloud, you had to take some decisions. Did you change your architecture? How did you manage about licensing? I mean, there are more. I mean, the end product of cloud solution has to be different from the one that you install physically on-premise, is it? My point is that maybe in 10 years when we get back to the products that we will get back to be on-premises are going to be different, essentially different from what they are now. What is your view? Thank you.
So that's an excellent question, and my answer is no. I'll back that up with, we did develop it as an on-premise solution, but I think my friend talked about the various flavors you can have of cloud. With our solution, you can have a hybrid, so you can put some equipment in the premise, some in the cloud. You can have it all in the cloud, or you can have it as a hybrid, as I said. And you, yeah.
Let me, if you are upgrading from, did you say 700 to 10,000?
Several hundred to several thousand, yes.
Right. I mean, there's no server that can support 7,000 users. So you must have
several thousand, not 7,000. Yeah. So it goes from 200 to 2,000.
Okay. And that you put it in the same server, those 2,000?
Yeah, in the data center. Yeah.
No, in a data center, of course, but yeah. I mean in the same server, physical server.
Oh no, it's virtualized.
It's virtualized.
Yeah.
But even virtualized infrastructures has a limit.
I think we haven't reached that limit yet, but we have the capacity within the data center to make sure that it's scalable. It depends on each customer how you scale it.
Do you provide one server per each customer, or do you? Again,
it depends. To come back to my point, which I didn't finish, the technology can be rolled back. So you can roll it if they want to go back to a premise. You can roll it back to a premise, or it can go back to a full cloud, or you can have sort of in between. So that is one of our differentiators in terms of where we are in terms of the question, which is a great question. We can offer both. We don't stipulate which the customer can have, and they can go either way, basically, in terms of the technology. And for us, we see cloud as a deployment model, not as an end subject in itself.
Interesting. Thank you.
You're welcome.
More questions? Mm.
See? Soy Patricia, solicitor for England and Wales, member of the Law Society in London, and I'm also a barrister here in Barcelona, a member of the Bar Association in Barcelona. I specialise in new technology law, so my perspective is slightly different. I don't really want to talk about whether it should be on-premises or whether it should be cloud. I'm not a technical person, but what I really want to say, from a point of view of my clients, we need certain guarantees. And George has already highlighted some of the points I really wanted to say. It's more a reflection than a question. I think we need a European scheme, and by that I mean European legislation dealing exclusively with cloud computing. And I also mean servers based exclusively in Europe for European clients. We all know the issues we've had with America, and it's for those very reasons. And apart from that, I do have one question. From practical view, I don't have experience of this, but perhaps you'll be able to give me a practical answer. If one of my clients chose a reputable cloud service provider who's had experience in providing these services during many years, and this cloud provider faces economical problems and goes bust, my question is, what happens to my client's data?
Well, I'll answer the question by defining it. You said you're not from the industry. We call that doing Nortel in the industry, because Nortel went Chapter 11 and all sorts of predicaments happened. I know that that was a problem. But that is a very good question, and a question that you need to ask your service provider, in terms of you're not looking at a solution which is purely technical, you're looking for the longevity of that solution, and you have to test vigorously the financials of that particular company you're investing in, to be sure of the debts, to be sure of the cash at the bank, to be sure that that is a company that will survive. And there are some consultants who have predicted there will be further consolidation in the marketplace, so you have to be very careful about who you pick.
That's the difference between on-premises and cloud, isn't it?
No,
Well,
sorry.
Control on-premises.
No, I think.
You have financial problems.
Yeah, I mean, it's in the press clear that some organisations have financial problems and debt that they may or may not be able to service. So it's up to, I guess, the consultants to make sure that they do due diligence on the supplier in that case.
That's really a big part of what we were talking about with the managed services agreement, is that you hope that it doesn't come to that point, but you need to look at all the contingencies, whether it's some sort of natural disaster, a fiscal disaster, some sort of operational disaster. And in our experience with the, back to the Nortel example, even though Nortel went out of business, there was still a lot of parts, dealers, inventory that could carry that on for a while for on-premises. When you get off-premise or in a cloud or in a hosted type of situation, you cede a lot of control to the service provider when you go